God, may the words that I speak and the way that they are received in each of our hearts be what we each need to hear to help us to grow into the people you have dreamed us to be. Amen. Tom stole a lot of the beginning of my sermon, but I'm going to do it anyway. Hi, I'm new. To tell you a little bit about myself, I started seminary with Tom. I'll still be there for another year. I'm a little slow. I play the guitar, like you said. I ride a motorcycle. I'm here with my partner, Mary. Wave, Mary. My day job is developing software. So, yeah, I'm a bit of an old school nerd. In fact, I'm old school enough to have seen the original Star Wars movie when it first came out. Okay. I see there's a range of ages here. Some of us are probably old enough to have seen it. Some of us probably could not have physically been in the theater at that date and time. I'm a little curious. How many of us have seen any of the Star Wars movies? All right. Now, how many of us saw any of the Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa movies before they saw the Anakin Skywalker, Padme Amidala stories? Wow, most of you, right? Was it weird to you that the story, that the movie that shows Luke and Leia being born was made 28 years after the movie where we first saw them? 28 years. Well, I guess it's not that unusual anymore to have a new movie that comes out set before the old movie. There's even a name for them, prequels. There's a big discussion over whether Prometheus is a prequel to the 33-year-old Alien movie. We're kind of used to learning the beginning of a story after we know the later part of the story. Oh, wait. So where was I? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, Acts 8. In the Acts reading, we have one of the apostles, Philip, who's told to go out to a road in the wilderness between Jerusalem and Gaza where he meets a guy in a chariot. Now, a guy in a chariot is no ordinary guy. And this particular guy in a chariot is not even average for guys in chariots. He's a court official in charge of the treasury for the Candace, queen of the Ethiopians. Now, wait a minute. Notice the definite article, the, before Candace. She's not named Candace. You probably know somebody named Candace. But Candace is a title. It means queen or queen mother. So this guy is an official of a queen of an African state. He's also a eunuch. Now, there's a lot of controversy over what eunuch means in various places in the Bible. The obvious meaning, the one that most of us are familiar with, is a castrated human male. But note that Levitical law said no male with damaged testicles could enter the temple. It's thought that at least some of the Old Testament references to eunuchs are really references to servants. Still, a lot of servants were castrated males. Without testosterone, these guys tended to be a little more even-tempered, a little less competitive, and a lot less interested in the ladies, if you know what I mean. In Matthew 19, Jesus is talking about marriage and lusting after other women, and that being adultery, and the disciples say, then it's better not to get married. And Jesus starts talking about men being born eunuchs, or being made eunuchs by men, or making themselves eunuchs. Is Jesus talking about castration? Some people say he's talking about celibacy. But what about being born celibate? Well, maybe that's being born not able to be other than celibate. Maybe not. Then there are some who say that Jesus is talking about homosexuality. But if you drop gay men in place of eunuchs, sounds a little weird. For there are gay men who have been so since birth, and there are gay men who have been made gay men by others. And there are gay men who've made themselves gay men for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. Sounds a little awkward. And then there are some people who suggest that the guy in the chariot was really a gay man, the first gay man to convert to Christianity. Now, a lot of people think this guy is probably a castrated male human eunuch. Mostly because if he's a royal official, especially around a queen, he's probably been fixed. So anyway, Philip sees chariot guy reading Isaiah and asks him if he understands it. Chariot guy says no, so Philip tells chariot guy about Jesus. This is one of my favorite stories. Philip tells chariot guy everything he needs to know in a relatively short ride. No complicated theology. Whatever he tells chariot guy, it cannot be that complicated. There's not enough time for something like that. It's not a 3-year, or in my case, 6-year program at a seminary. So chariot guy gets it. And he sees some water and he says, look, here is water. What is to prevent me from being baptized? And he commands the chariot to stop. Now, he might just be taking the reins, but commands makes me think this guy has a driver. This is more proof that this guy is pretty important. So Philip and chariot guy get out, go to the water, and Philip baptizes them. Here's what I think is important. Philip never mentions the eunuch thing. The guy says, is there anything to prevent me from being baptized? And Philip says, let's go do this. It's a miracle. Philip knows what Leviticus says about guys being intact if they're going to enter the temple. He could have rejected chariot guy for that. Of course, Philip knows what Jesus said about men being born eunuchs or made eunuchs by men or making themselves eunuchs for the glory of God. However, Jesus meant that. But Philip doesn't ask chariot guy about his past. Philip doesn't need to know the backstory at this point. If they meet again, maybe chariot guy will do a little prequel for Philip. But right now, that's not important. Philip baptizes chariot guy as he is now. So, what's my story? When people meet me in context of my day job or as a student at seminary or as a motorcyclist or as a musician, or maybe in the context of my relationship with Mary, these are things that they know about me now. And what most people don't know when they first meet me is I'm transgender. So if I were not already baptized, the question, is there anything to keep me from being baptized? Would generally be answered, like what? And the interesting thing about being a transgender person is it's mostly not about who I am. It's not about my going to seminary or being in a relationship or being a motorcyclist or being a programmer or being a guitarist or any of the things that I do now. Being a blogger, as Tom mentioned, or being a poet or writing music or any of the other stuff I do. It's about what was on my birth certificate. What my name was. How I used to dress. It's about my backstory. Now, if I'm introduced as a transgender person, people start thinking about my backstory. They make up their own prequel. Inevitably, they get some things wrong and, in doing so, create an alternate version of me in their minds. This person over here, that's not quite me. Before they even get to know me. Now, this effect is pretty easy to spot with transgender people. But we, and I'm including myself here, do it all the time with all kinds of people. We might look at the way somebody's dressed and make assumptions about this person's standard of living, this person's ethnic background, their trustworthiness. We might even do it with skin color or a career or even a name. Sometimes we place blame on people who are down on their luck for how we think they got to this place. We judge retroactively. And the relationships we begin to build are with this alternate version of somebody that we create by making up stories about them. We end up with inauthentic, dysfunctional relationships full of unrealistic expectations based on who we imagined each other to be. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't be interested in each other's stories or how we got to where we are. These things are important. Our stories are sacred stories. But like Philip, let's meet each other where we are now and get to know who we are before we start asking where we've been. Enjoy the show that is now. We can always come back for a prequel. So, what's your story? Better yet, tell me about who you are right now. Amen.